Yes, this may be the only triple threat. I just realized I'm on the air. Okay. This may be the only wrestling show that you listen to, and it doesn't have an intro. Well, the show used to have an intro once upon a time, but not anymore. But at least not at this particular moment. But nonetheless, what's good? What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Triple Threat Wrestling Radio. We are live right here on Ustream.tv. It is Friday, July the 25th? Let me check the calendar. Oh, my fault. It's the 26th. It is the 26th of July, 2013. Thank you for joining me this evening. I am Kenny C. I am your host. And tonight on the show, going to recap Raw, Main Event, Impact, and SmackDown, plus my thoughts on the release of Jesse Sourcine. He was cut by Impact Wrestling early this week. And this is the guy who had a match with Zema Ion. I think it was 2011. Got injured. Never fully recovered. I mean, he probably is recovered by now, but TNA pretty much, they've been cleaning house over the last couple of weeks. About a week or two ago, they let go of DLC and Terror. And then a few weeks prior to that, they let go of Crimson, Joey Ryan. Yeah, Crimson, Joey Ryan. Forget another person. It's not Gunner. Crimson. Oh, Christian York, excuse me. Yeah, Christian York, Crimson. That's a lot of C's. Crimson, Christian York, and Joey Wine, alongside with Madison Wayne and Taylor Hendricks. They all been released. However, from my understanding, Taylor Hendricks is still under contract with Ohio Valley Wrestling. So even though she's no longer on the TNA roster, she's still part of the OVW roster, which is still the developmental territory for Impact Wrestling. But I'm going to get into all that in just a moment. Also, update on the Justin Overstreet interview. Bottom line is, ladies and gentlemen, the interview, I was trying to get it scheduled for 10:30. But Justin is at work right now, and he'll be calling in at 11 o'clock. So let's just say tonight's show is going to go overtime. Probably off the air 11:15, 11:20-ish. And hopefully Mackenzie York will be calling in as well. I'm just trying to get an update from Justin as this hour progresses. But from my understanding, Justin is only able to call in tonight at 11 because his job is making him stay an extra hour. So hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. We'll talk to him, and hopefully Mackenzie at 11 o'clock. With that said, we're going to go ahead and recap Monday Night Raw first, as we are continuing the road. We're continuing the road to SummerSlam. Few weeks away, Cena versus Bryan. What's interesting is WWE posted an article about the history between Cena and Bryan. The first time they faced each other was back in 2003. And that was when John Cena He was just beginning his rapper gimmick, his hip hop Vanilla Ice type of gimmick, and he wasn't Daniel Bryan at the time. He was Bryan Danielson. Cena was wearing yellow pants and baggy yellow pants, and Bryan had he had white trunks, white knee pads, white boots. Um, and it was very interesting. So it went from there. It went from the Nexus being formed, and then the day after the Nexus was born, Daniel Bryan gets released. And then a few months later came SummerSlam. Cena added him to Team WWE to take on the Nexus. And then they had their battle. They had a battle or two here and there. And now, here they are, facing each other main event at SummerSlam. A decade later. It's been a decade in the making. Cena has already established himself. Daniel Bryan, you know, he's already making a name for himself. Been in the business for over a decade plus. Cena's been with the WWE for over a decade now. Which segue into the Raw recap. They had the official contract signing, and General Manager Brad Maddox, he was a bit curious as to why this Cena handpicked Daniel Bryan to be his opponent for the WWE title at SummerSlam. Cena feels that he deserves it. Cena feels, hey, I want to take on the biggest thing that's going on right now, and that just so happens to be Daniel Bryan. So obviously, there's a mutual respect between Cena and Bryan. Bryan comes in. Now, Cena pretty much makes it clear, hey man, I got respect for you. I'm looking forward to this match, but make no mistake about it. I may hand you, I have handed you a WWE Championship match, but I'm not going to hand you the WWE Championship. You're going to have to earn it, man. You beat me, then, hey, I'll stand up like a man, give you your due. But right now, you're the challenger, I'm the champion. If you want this belt, you're going to have to defeat me for it at SummerSlam. That's basically what Cena's saying. Daniel Bryan, the competitor that he is, he's aware of it. So Brad Maddox decided to really dug deep into he dug in. He decided to really give Daniel Bryan quite the challenge. He said, you know what? Okay, Cena may think you deserve it, but I'm not sure if I think you deserve it or not. So here's what I'm going to do. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you a chance to prove yourself. So what I decided to do is I'm going to give you a series of matches. Kind of like putting him in a gauntlet of sorts. That's not what Brad Maddox called it. He just said, I'm going to put you in a series of matches. You're going to go against opponents of my choosing, Brad Maddox choosing. And we'll see if you really deserve this opportunity or not. And Cena made it clear, hey, I want you 100% come SummerSlam. So there's no excuses. But Daniel Bryan said, you know what, man? Brad Maddox feel I'm not worthy of this WWE title opportunity. I got to prove myself. I want to prove it on my own. So he told Cena, hey, stay away from my matches. Let me handle it on my own. And I'll get to more of those matches later in the recap there. But Roberto Del Rio goes on to defeat a battered Sheamus, who's still kind of recovering from the Money in the Bank ladder match a couple of weeks ago. You see the bit mark on one of his legs? I mean, damn. Those what you call battle scars. That's when you know that's I mean, wrestling is real as it gets. If you keep thinking, if any people, non-wrestling fans, still feel that wrestling is not real, look at Sheamus' mark. Look at the wrestlers' marks after matches. Look at their body parts. Take a good look. Look how they're holding their arms, or holding their shoulders, or having knee braces and stuff. And you tell me if it's not real or not. And if you really want to see how real wrestling can get, I say have a 5-minute match. Or maybe a wrestling session of sorts. Male, female, don't matter. You go in there, let the wrestler rough you up. Give you a couple of good punches in. We'll see if you still have that same opinion. Because that's all it is. It's opinion. Also, Miz TV interviewed of the cast of Total Divas. The TV show what is set to premiere this Sunday on E! Channel, I believe at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And there's been a lot of chit chatter over this show. You know, is this going to give people a perspective? You know how people are going to say, well, the Divas get more airtime on that show than the wrestling shows, than the Walls and the main events the Wall, the main events and the SmackDowns. Now, pay-per-view, you get your good 10 plus minutes here and there. I don't really think it's about how long the matches are. I just think about the storylines and where it takes these wrestlers. I'm over the whole length of matches, but you got a lot of fans that's just not over it. This Total Divas show will follow the Funkadactyls, that's Karen and Naomi, the Bella Twins, who's been doing interviews in the New York area throughout this week, Natalia, the recent engaged Natalia. And it's also going to follow the careers of the up-and-comers, such as Eva Marie, who slapped Jerry Lawler in the face, and JoJo, and a couple other faces. And speaking of which, huge congrats to Paige, Paige. NXT has been having a tournament to determine the first ever NXT Women's Champion. Paige went on to defeat Emma. Congrats to her. I believe she's one of the Knight sisters. You think of the Blossom Twins. You think of the Knight sisters. What's interesting, both Blossom Twins are still part of the OVW roster, but only one Knight is in the NXT FCW developmental territory. They recently debuted a performance center in Florida, which is where the NXT FCW talent will be working at. More power to them on that form. And you know what? I'm not a closed-minded person. I am willing to see what the show is about. Shoot, it's a Sunday night. There's nothing else going on for me as far as I'm concerned. Usually around that time, I'm either playing PlayStation or watching something else on TV. But all I know is I really ain't got nothing else. I don't think that it's going. It may get some viewers for the first 2, 3 episodes, but after that, people are gonna complain about it. People are gonna be like, why they got all this time? They got their own TV show, but they can't get a lengthy segment or lengthy matches. I haven't been able to watch much of NXT and FCW. I've heard a lot of good things about Emma and Paige and a couple other folks out there, and more power to them. And then you're gonna look at them, the Divas, outside the ring. They showed a scene on the wall when the Bellas met up with Eva Marie and JoJo, and that the Bellas kind of feel intimidated because they feel, hey, these could be the next two big stars. They could take the Bellas' spots, you know. It's not about getting a spot. It's about hanging on to it. So I'm definitely. Not only am I going to watch the season premiere, I'm going to watch the whole season. I'm curious, and who knows? You gonna see them personally. Now I'm looking forward to it. Let's see what they got. That's all I got to say about that. But the highlight of that segment is Eva Marie slapped Jerry Lawler in the face. Jerry usually has good things or crazy things happen to him when it comes to the Divas. Well, not to the redhead. I do love redheads. I love women in general. I just do. But redheads are a bit fierce, if you ask me. And Jerry learned that the hard way. He just looked at him. I mean, maybe things just got off the wrong foot, but Jerry got smacked. That was a Stephanie McMahon type of slap what Eva did. But I seen Stephanie slap more aggressive and more harder than that. But Eva, she said she wanted to make a name for herself. Well, there you are. Congratulations, you made a name for yourself. Also, this past Monday on Raw, Christian went on to defeat Titus O'Neil. Dolph Ziggler went on to defeat Darren Young. Not a good night for the primetime players in individual action, singles action. How about Cody Rhodes outdanced Fandango? RVD goes on to defeat Ray Barrett. RVD continuing his winning ways in singles competition. And then, let's see, Punk and Heyman. CM Punk issued a challenge to Brock Lesnar to a match at SummerSlam. The Best versus the Beast. And Paul Heyman, via Brock Lesnar, accepted the challenge. So, as expected, Brock Lesnar going to be in action. How many matches have Brock Lesnar had since coming back to the WWE? Right around last year, there's the Extreme Rules. He had a match at SummerSlam last year. And then he had WrestleMania, Extreme Rules. So SummerSlam this year, this will be his 5th match since coming back to the WWE. And a lot of people like myself, it's like Brock Lesnar. I will be more excited about Brock Lesnar matches if he decided to, I don't know, do some wrestling moves, for crying out loud. I think he's dressed up like he's looking like the UFC version of Brock Lesnar. And he's got that Kimura lock. He's got that lock breaking people's arms. I mean, he still is a beast. He's still menacing. He still could be intimidating. This is the battle at the Paul Heyman guys. Paul Heyman. I mean, this whole talk about how he's the one that believe in CM Punk more than anyone. WWE stuck his net out for him. And then things just, went sideways. From WrestleMania to Payback to Money in the Bank. And boy, I mean, Punk was he's hell bent on not only going through Brock Lesnar, he's hell bent on going after Brock Lesnar to Paul Heyman as well. And boy, a lot of people waiting for that moment. So Brock Lesnar versus CM Punk at SummerSlam. That's coming up. I will be excited if he decided to do some wrestling moves. That's all. That's all I want. That's all I want. Give me some matches, damn it. Give me some moves. Give me some wrestling moves. Before I get back to the Raw recap, I want to give a huge good luck to Destiny, the new boss, the new owner of Magnificent Ladies Wrestling. This weekend will be the first tapings, Magnificent Ladies Wrestling, of the Destiny era. She's not only, and she's going to be the owner, but she will be available for custom matches and stuff. So good luck to all the ladies that's going to be there. I know there's a lot of excitement, and I'm curious to see how that turns out. I definitely would like to interview Destiny again at some point, just to see, how she feel. Shout out to Darrell Brough, who I'm sure is enjoying life after wrestling, with his wife Susan out there in Texas, working a lot. Happy that his new job opportunity. I tell you what, man, it's gonna be awesome. Let's see. So Punk versus Heyman, that's gonna happen. Now I want to get into what I like to call the gauntlet of Daniel Bryan. Now, Paul Heyman, Brad Maddox, starts off with Bryan versus Jack Swagger. Both, I believe, somewhat equally matched, except that Swagger is a bit taller. What about it was, and Swagger went on to, well, not Swagger, but actually Daniel Bryan, and what a clinic that match was. But in the end, Daniel Bryan won that first match. And then the match of the gauntlet, I would like to say. The match of that gauntlet is when he went toe-to-toe with Antonio Cesaro. Daniel Bryan is he's just in a whole nother level. And I can understand why Cena wants to face the dude. He's the top. He got the mojo going right now, and it got the edge on a lot of people's seat that night. close pinfalls after close pinfalls. You had Zeb Culture, you had Swagger trying to get him the upper hand. And then Daniel Bryan, somehow, some way, he pulled through. Picks up the victory and advanced to the next match. And then backstage, Brad Maddox had a talk with Alex Wally. And then Brad Maddox was like, let's see how he fares with this next person. Turns out to be Ryback. And Ryback, knowing he going up against a guy who's had 2 matches in nearly 30 plus minutes, feeling fatigued, and he went through, I say 20, 25 plus minutes up against Cesaro. Daniel Bryan, he kept fighting. He wasn't going to give up. He wasn't going to back down. Ryback roughed him up. And then there was a chair set up outside the ring. And then Daniel Bryan got power bombed through a table by Ryback, which led to a disqualification. Bryan went on to win by a DQ. And then John Cena has seen enough. Came out, attacked Ryback, got on the microphone, saying, hey, you want to go at Daniel Bryan like that? How about you go through me? I tell you what, let's do this. Next Monday Night at Raw, how about you and I renew our rivalry for one night? In a match that I beat you in the 3 stages of Hell Payback, how about you and I face off in a tables match? Ryback went on to accept. And then they went backstage to Brad Maddox, and then he had a talk with Vince McMahon. He said, okay, Cena versus Ryback, table match next Monday on Raw. Well, Vince McMahon's like, what about Daniel Bryan? And then Brad Maddox decided, you know what? Cena's got a tough opponent. How about I get Daniel Bryan a tough opponent? Someone that he knows. Someone that knows almost everything about him. Someone recent. How about this? How about we have ourselves a Team Hell No reunion? That's right. It's going to be Daniel Bryan versus Kane next week on Raw. The last time we saw Kane, he got attacked by the Wyatt family, who made their debut on that night. And the Wyatt family made their in-ring debut tonight on SmackDown. I'll get into my thoughts about that. So that concludes my Raw recap. So far, Cena versus Ryback in a table match. Kane versus Bryan all next week as we continue the road to SummerSlam. And as for your main event recap, let's keep it short. Sheamus defeated Jack Swagger. Sin Cara won his match against Drew McIntyre. And Damien Sandow went on to defeat Justin Gabriel. Now, before I get to the Impact recap, I want to talk a little bit about the release of Jesse Soul's theme. X Division talent. He was cut by Impact this past week, and that's been a lot of flack over it, given that this dude has spent probably the last year plus recovering from an injury, and just when it looks like, I don't know his status. I don't know if he's been cleared to compete. I don't know all that info. But from my understanding, he looked like he was ready to get back in when the time was right. He had a match with Zema Ion, which was back in 2011. Gets injured, and TNA trying to, you know, trying to build him up as he's coming back. And I feel bad. This is the one release of all the releases from DLC and Terror to Christian York to Crimson, Joey Wine, Madison Rain, Taylor Hendricks. This is other than Taylor Hendricks because I believe she would have been the future of that division. You got Lady Tapa, she's still there. She's still in the contract with TNA. Um, Here's the thing, folks. I'm just a bit, I'm devastated to hear this news about Jesse because he's a good guy. At least that's how I feel about him. And it's unfortunate that he never really got an opportunity to show what he can do. Never got an opportunity. And he gets released. He gets cut. Now, it's understandable. TNA had some budget cuts. At this time of year, the money gets tight. And you got to cut some people. Tara, she looks beautiful. She's a hell of a wrestler. She's getting in there with age. DLC, he's been a part of Impact for quite some time. Never really made an impact. Literally. He was part of Aces and Eights. He did the dirty work for Bully Ray. That was pretty much about it. Crimson, people felt like me, he was TNA built him up, had this undefeated streak, was a tag team champion with Matt Morgan. Then just shifted him to Ohio Valley Wrestling. Came back, had the last match I could recall, he had a Bound for Glory qualifying match. He lost that match. So, and then you had Joey Wine, Gut Check, probably the most talked about Gut Check contestant to date. People thought he was gonna do something. He had a huge buzz about him. He was trended worldwide on Twitter. Let's face it, if you trend on Twitter and you're just a newcomer, you're doing something right. But I feel like he fell off a bit, especially when they wanted him to be a knockout, not a knockout, but a referee for the knockout matches. And that's pretty much that. Then you had Christian York, a Gut Check winner, second go around. I thought he was doing a good job. But he's getting there. See, the thing with Impact compared to WWE is developing talent. How long you gonna hang on to Kurt Angle and Sting? How long you gonna hang on to Bully Ray? How long you gonna hang on to these veterans? How long you gonna hang on to majority of the WWE recycled guys that's been with the company for quite a while? It's like I see more WWE people than I see more TNA's people. Like the Joes and the Styles and the Daniels that's been around the company since the beginning. And the Woos and the Storms. You got Austin Aries, already a former world champion, former tag team champion, and X Division champion. He's got an upside. He's big time. But you got a lot of hungry talent in OVW that I feel should get an opportunity. Jamin Olivencia, Jason Rain, a Paradise, just to name a few. These are hungry guys. They want an opportunity. The TNA, that you should know that OVW has a good eye for talent. And they went on to become big stars. Cena, Miz, Orton, Shelton Benjamin. I mean, the list goes on and on. They are the Harvard of professional wrestling. Check their resume. Look at the guys that's competed in a company. That's all I'm saying. Hell, CM Punk was in work for OVW. Lesnar, Big Show, they all went on to become either a WWE champion or a World Heavyweight champion. Bottom line is they went on to become big time. So I'm upset that this dude Jesse, you got Chris Sabin, who's a TNA original, if I recall. He's been one of the he's like a TNA original. Let's just put it that way. He's torn both ACLs in the last 2 years. TNA hangs on to him. He comes back, wins the X Division title, loses the X Division title, wins it back, cash in that title so he can compete for the world title. He wins the title. You know, Saban get torn both ACLs. TNA hangs on to him. Jesse Sorensen suffers a severe injury, and you cut him. Wrestling could be cutthroat business. I get all that. Sometimes you gotta make tough decisions. Dixie, Hulk, they gotta make tough decisions. You know Hulk Hogan is getting paid more than people that are actually wrestling on a weekly basis. And he's only been part of TNA for a couple of years now. And I guess TNA felt that maybe the ratings would go up if Hulk Hogan was there. Newsflash, TNA, this is not the 1980s. This is not the 1970s when he was the man, when he was the face of professional wrestling, when he was young, when he was in his prime, when he body slammed Andre the Giant. Those days are long gone. TNA, they need to start building talent. They need to start developing people and giving some developmental guys some opportunities. I'm not saying just cut Sting and Angle and Hogan. They're not going to be, especially Sting and Angle, they're not going to wrestle forever. The least she could do is put the likes of a Jamin Olivencia, the Jason Reigns, the Paradises, Wendy Royals, and then the Blossom Twins, Taylor Hendricks. Give them an opportunity. And I'm not talking gut check or anything like that. Just put them out there. Let's see what they can do. Let's see what they're made of. If they make a good impression, you keep them there. Now, me living in Kentucky, I see them. I know what they can do. I just hope TNA open their eyes in the OVW roster and look around in this country. Does people say gut check is a good thing? Well, it's not. It's just like NXT. It's just like Tough Enough. Yeah, you get a contract, but if they feel you ain't good enough, then you're not gonna be in the roster for long. Adam Levine won Tough Enough a couple of years ago. He's out of a job. He's in the indie scene, and he failed a drug test. That's embarrassing. what I'm getting at is I feel bad for Jesse Sourcine, and I wish him the best. I hope he can find a place. If it's not WWE, then some good quality indie shows where he can go out there and show what he can do. And I'm going to leave it at that. Now, on to the Impact recap. Second show out there in Louisville, Kentucky. New X Division champion was crowned. It was a triple threat match, Ultimate X match, between Manic, formerly known as Suicide, Greg Marciano, formerly known as WWE's Trent Barella, and Sanjay Dutt. Talk about a guy that's been overlooked. When you think of the X Division, obviously 3 people. You think Styles, Daniels, and Joe. Dutt has some hell good matches with those 3. Petey Williams. Much respect to them all, man. And I'm I'm not sold on the name change, Manic, over Suicide. Suicide, I mean, I don't know. Maybe, there's got to be deeper reasons and why these name changes. But he's the X Division champion. Congrats to the man. I'm just not sold on the name change. I will say that much. Impact Wrestling kicked off with Main Event Mafia congratulating Chris Sabin on being the new champion. But the celebration was cut short by. It was cut short by. Bully Ray and a lawyer. If you're an OVW fan like me, you know that guy is Dean Hill. He's one of the commentators for OVW. And he's threatened a lawsuit unless Chris Sabin forfeits the World Heavyweight title. And then you had a couple of Battle for Glory series matches. Mr. Anderson goes on to defeat Hernandez. Gets him by pinfall. That earns him 7 points. And with assistance from the Aces and Eights, Christopher Daniels defeated Samoa Joe. He gets 7 points. But the biggest winner in the Bound for Glory series last night goes to AJ Styles. He made Jeff Hardy tap out. That earns him 10 points. But if memory serves me correctly, Magnus of Main Event Mafia and Samoa Joe are your top 2 leaders. Now remember, this Bound for Glory series is going to be ongoing until September. There's going to be a Final 4 to determine who it will be the number 1 contender for the World Championship. Oh, and by the way, Chris Sabin, before he got interrupted by Bully Ray, he said, you know what? I would like to face whoever wins the Ultimate X match, which turned out to be Manic. So next Thursday on Impact Wrestling is going to be Manic, the new X Division champion, versus the new world champion, Chris Sabin. Oh, and Mickey James went on to defeat Gail Kim. Gail Kim gets a bit physical with a referee, only this time the ref is ODB. Gail Kim lost her cool. And then after the match ended, Brooke Hogan came out and pretty much had to give her a reminder that, hey, you put your hand on these referees, there's going to be some consequences. And we all know ODB is a former Knockouts champion. She's also a former Knockouts Tag Team champion. And she's not afraid to get down. and she went bam on Gail Kim. So although Mickey James, oh, and by the way, Velvet Sky, she's not gonna underestimate Mickey James. She's not gonna take kindness for weakness anymore. She's gonna fight, and she's gonna fight her way to win back the X Division, the Knockouts Championship. We definitely shall see. Also, the conclusion of Impact telecast is when Chris Sabin had some time to think, and Sabin decided, look, man, I've been part of Impact Wrestling for a decade. I won the World Heavyweight Championship. I beat you at your own game. And now you want to threaten me to be stripped of the title because of a lawsuit? You made it clear. If you're going to take this title, you're going to have to kill me. Making that clear right now, boy. I'll tell you what. Good for you, Chris. And then Hulk Hogan supported Sabin's decision. Now, all this bickering, whining, and mourning for Bully Ray can now stop because him being the former champion, he's invoked. He is allowed to have a rematch. And the rematch would take place in mid-August. And a pay-per-view that will be televised, will be on national television. It's going to be in Virginia. I believe it's August 15th. It's Hardcore Justice on Impact Wrestling. First Destination X, and now Hardcore Justice. And the word hardcore is right up Bully Ray's alley. ECW, for example. So, Chris Sabin will have his first title defense. And he'll go up against Bully Ray, Hardcore Justice, on national television, on Impact, in a couple of weeks. But to make sure Main Event Mafia doesn't get involved, to make sure that Aces and Eights don't get involved, you decided that we're going to have ourselves a steel cage match. So it's already going to be a busy couple of weeks for Sabin. Next week, he'll face Manic, champion versus champion. A few weeks after that, he'll face Bully Ray in a rematch for the gold and a steel cage match or at Hardcore Justice. So there's your Impact recap right there. Now the recap SmackDown for earlier tonight. And I may want to point out a disclaimer to those living in the West Coast, because SmackDown's coming up in about 11 minutes if you're living on the West Coast. If you have yet to watch SmackDown, then you may want to mute or turn the volume down for the next 2-3 minutes. Starting right now. SmackDown started off with a Battle of the Money in the Banks winners. Randy Orton versus Damien Sandow. It was Randy's first match since he got kicked in the neck by Del Rio last week. Had to take a couple of shows off to recover. But Randy came back. He was in good form. And Damien Sandow starting to get the upper hand. Then came the interference of former BFF Cody Rhodes. Came in, went to the bell to Lynn Garcia's area, took the briefcase, showed it to Sandow, who was in the ring at the time, got distracted for a split second, and then he gets RKO'd by Randy Orton. Gets the pinfall for a victory. After the match, Cody Rhodes decided to walk out with the gold, with the briefcase. Also, the Wyatt family made their in-ring debut. Went up against Tons of Funk. The match didn't last that long, but at least we get to see what they're made of in the ring. I'm not going to say they're going to have this similar impact of the Shield, but I got to see more of this Wyatt family before I can say maybe this trio can go places. But you got to start somewhere. You know, the Shield made their debut. They made their debut when maybe they were supposed to make their debut in 2013. Because Ryback injured CM Punk at TLC, they put the Shield in the main event. In a main event caliber match against Team Hell No and Ryback. This is a whole different circumstance. You get the Wyatt family defeated Tons of Funk, Bray Wyatt with a finishing move on Sweet Tea, aka Tensai, and letting the WWE Boston know that we're coming. We're coming. That's been their message through their videos, subliminal messages. As Kane, as R-Truth, Justin Gabriel, Heath Slater, 3MB, ask them all how they felt. And there you have it there. CM Punk got on the mic, sending a message to Heyman and Lesnar. He gets interrupted by Fandango. And let's just say CM Punk decided to do a dancing tune of his own. And it's called Go to Sleep. And that was the end of that. AJ had her state of mind. Gets interrupted by Dolph Ziggler. And then AJ's trying to get the best of Dolph Ziggler. Takes a luggage. Rips the money. Rips a driver license. Thor his attire all over the place. Dolph Ziggler was not going to give AJ the satisfaction of his stuff being destroyed by AJ. And the crowd was chanting, "You're a psycho." Well, thank you for stating the obvious, Corporate Christy, Texas. She isn't any crazy. Berto Del Rio goes up against RVD. And because he cheated, Del Rio went on to pick up the victory thanks to he cheated. Let's just put it that way. Christian went on to beat Jack Swagger, and at the end of SmackDown, Damien Sandow spent the entire night looking for him. And I guess Vicky Guerrero's going to let Del Rio handpick his opponent for SummerSlam next week, from my understanding. But Cody Rhodes was outside, and this came after Christian defeated Swagger. So Cody Rhodes said, "Hey, you want the briefcase? All you gotta do is come and get it." He had to go outside, go near a beach, near the building, and then Sandow was begging. He was pleading. He was whining. He didn't want Cody Rhodes to throw the briefcase into the ocean. And I think we have seen championship belts we've seen people's stuff get thrown into the art, thrown into waters, thrown into oceans, thrown into rivers. But I believe it's the first time that a Money in the Bank briefcase has been thrown into the ocean. In the history, we've seen briefcase being used as weapons, but we have never been seen as being thrown into water, into the ocean. That's what happened. And Sandow jumped into the ocean. Let's just say you're not gonna mistake him from you're not gonna mistake him from for Michael Phelps. I can tell you that much. And that's going to conclude your recaps of the evening. I'm going to go through the list of Magnificent Ladies Wrestling's list. I'm just going to include former guests. We got Dementia D. Rose, Destiny, Devin Adams, Jesse Bell. I'm at magnificentladieswrestling.com. Let's see. As it continues to scroll. Smoking Hot Nikki Lane. Be on the lookout for that. Also, Paris Kelly. And I want to give a shout out to Paris and George. Reality Check Radio. They gave me a shout out this past Tuesday night, and I want to return the favor. I hope they are listening as I give them a shout out. I do know Paris is calling in tonight early. She getting herself ready. No word on who's going to be included in the August tapings, but I'm sure they will keep you posted on that. Normally the show would end by now, but because we're going overtime here, Justin Overstreet will be calling in a couple of minutes. I pretty much have went through the recaps and the Jesse Soul Scene situation throughout the hour. So we're likely going to be off the air a little bit around a quarter after 11, maybe 11:20. No word. I still have no word if Mackenzie York is going to be calling in or not, but I guess we'll all find out together. We will all find out in about a next minute or so. Next week on the show, going to be joined with Mistress Luxia. That's on the 2nd of August. The 9th, I'm going to be joined with, Casey Ray. The 16th, going to be joined with, Paige Turner. 23rd, J.R. Mueller. And actually, I'm joined with another guest. Let me go through my list here. I said Miss Dyslexia. That's on the 2nd. Casey Ray on the 9th. Paige Turner on the 16th. I am trying to scroll down here. Sign Guy. Shout out to Sign Guy, man. He keeps giving me guests. He's recruited some guests for me, and I truly appreciate that. As a wrestler, I forgot what his name is. I'm at my Facebook scrolling down here. Let's see. As I give him some more time here, trying to look for the name here. Who's gonna be calling in? Who's Sign Guy's person? Lone Star. He is the current UIWA BCW Pacific Northwest Heavyweight Champion. He'll be on the 23rd. And a wrestler named J.R. Marler He's going to be on the show on August the 30th. So that's what the August lineup look like as of this moment. Justin Overstreet should be calling in shortly. I don't know if Mackenzie York's going to be calling in or not, but we'll find out together shortly. I just gave you the lineup of who's going to be on the show next month in August. And I just found out that my Skype number is going to be renewed next Thursday. So I should be good to go for at least another year for this show and for Chilling with Jeff and Kenny C. Be on the lookout for it. Saturday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That's at, let's see, tmvcafe.com. Make sure you check it out. I'm still waiting for Justin to call in. Not sure if he's listening right now, but just give me a call when you're ready, Justin. Let me know. Or maybe he's just getting off of work. He said that he gave me a message around a quarter after 9. His job was making him stay an extra hour, so I'm going to give him some time to get off of work, find a good place for him to call in, and we'll go on from there. And yes, you are hearing some music in the background. September 20th, I will be at the Wall House show. That is a Friday night. We're gonna talk to Justin about his wrestling career and what he's got coming up. And I'm hoping that Mackenzie will be able to work in a call in. If she's unable to, we'll schedule her some other time. But as long as one of them calls in, then I'm good. As long as one of them calls in, I'll be alright. I'm gonna be alright. And I want to give a shout out to Iron Man Cody Matthews and Stan Sierra. They say they want some follow-up interviews. Hopefully we can reschedule them in the future. You can check out their previous interviews. I'm looking at Taylor Hendricks' post right now. Seems like the A-list consisting of myself and Envy caused quite a stir Wednesday night at OVW. Watch to find out. She's referring to the latest interview. And I guess now that she's no longer an Impact, she'll be able to expand herself a bit. She can now work for other shows outside of OVW. I hope OVW will give her another opportunity. We'll see. Hey, as long as she's still in OVW, I'll be alright. I'm going to be okay with that. I hope they come back to Frankfurt probably in the fall. They'll probably be at Western Hills High School. I've been there, let's see, 2 times last year, and I was there early this year. So they probably will be there maybe in the late fall or so. I was there they were on Saturdays. I was there on Friday, I believe. And I'm looking forward to them coming back. They just what's odd about OVW is that they call themselves Ohio Valley Wrestling, and they don't do shows anymore in Ohio. They do their shows in Indiana and Kentucky. Their main shows is on at Louisville, Kentucky. But I don't know when the last time they actually done shows in Ohio. It must have been back to their WWE days, and that's what I'm assuming. Um, but so far we got you know Cena versus Bryan, Punk versus Lesnar. Who else? We all know that Del Rio's gonna have a match. We know that the Money in the Bank winner is gonna have matches as well. But I'm curious as to who will face. You know what? Now that I think about it, I think we can assure that Rose versus Sandow at SummerSlam. That's definitely gonna happen. Battle of the Rose Scholars. Battle of the former BFFs. But who is Randy Orton gonna face? Who is he gonna Who is he gonna face? You got one of them. Try to get another one in there. But Del Rio, who is he gonna face? It's usually when you look at the storylines, you kind of figure it out who's gonna be the who's gonna be the obvious choice. But the who's gonna face Del Rio SummerSlam for the world title could have easily be RVD, but it's a toss up. But I'm sure RVD would have a match scheduled for SummerSlam. It's just a matter of who's the opponent gonna be. Now, here's the thing. Let's see. He's at call in at 10 p.m. Central. Okay. It's 11:08 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's my time zone. I thought he was Eastern Standard guy too, but apparently he's a Central guy. So he and Mackenzie for that matter. So oh, there we go. Justin's calling in right now. Let's get him on. All right, my guest at this time is one of the top indie pro wrestlers in this country right now. I'm joined with Justin Overstreet. What's going on, Justin?
Not much, man. Just jumping up into the car, about to get ready to head home. What's going on?
I'm doing real good, and I want to thank you for joining me this evening.
No problem, man. I actually appreciate you actually helping me on.
Well, I guess I'll interview Mackenzie in the future. Guess she's not gonna be able to join us this evening, but I got you on here, so it's all good.
Hey, I think she's actually asleep right now. You know, to be honest with you, I had to do some more work tonight, and she stayed home. So
Well, it's all good. I got you on, so like I said, I'll get Mackenzie some other time. Um, Justin, what made you decide to be a professional wrestler, man?
honestly, man, I discovered it whenever I was 3 years old, and my mother fell asleep on me, and I grabbed the remote and I turned to the television, and I came across the replay, and Sting was on TV, and I thought I was watching like a live comic book going on. And, you know, ever since then, I fell in love with wrestling, and the more I got to watching it, you know, guys like Sting and Bret the Hitman Hart pretty much, you know, became my idols, and you know, ever since then, I knew I wanted to, you know, be a wrestler.
That's interesting, and now that I think about it, wrestling does have a comic book feel to it. It's just coming into real life. You get to see these real life characters, whether it's on television, whether it's on the indie scene. You get to see the men and women portray themselves as these characters and just go to work. So I could definitely understand where you're coming from when you know thinking that they were comic, uh, comic characters or these superheroes and these villains. I mean, now that you've been a wrestler for quite some time, do you still feel that way, like a character of sorts?
Well, yeah, I mean, I know, we're told that we're supposed to develop a gimmick, something that stands out, but, whenever I go out there, I can honestly say I don't per se have a gimmick or a persona. Whenever I go out in the ring, you pretty much get me, but, you get me amplified. You get me times 10. I go out there and, the fans get to see the real Justin Overstreet.
And speaking of characters and gimmicks and stuff, I want to know from your perspective, how much of the idea of what the character or what the gimmick is going to be. Do you think it's more of the wrestler's idea, or do you think it's the company promoter's idea? How much you think the idea of, okay, this is a character, this is what we want you to be like? Do you think it's more the wrestler's decision, or is it the promoter's decision?
Well, I've been told stories from, up in the big leagues where it's pretty much Vince's and the big dog's decision, but at the same time, it's your decision on if you want to take the gimmick that's been given to you or if you want to pass it up and let them give it to somebody else. And it's usually, the gimmick they give you is the gimmick they're going to push. So, you can pass up that job because you don't feel comfortable, or else you can learn the role that they want to give you. And if you're here to make money, that's the way to do it.
I guess at the end of the day, as long as it works, makes the wrestler comfortable, and they know what they're doing, they know what they're getting themselves into, regardless of the fans' reaction and sorts, and they both laughing at the bank, then hey, it's a win-win, I suppose.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. I mean, Vince is the visionary. The writers are supposed to be the visionaries, and you're supposed to be the model. And that's what they try and do. They look at you and they're like, hey, I can see this. I can see you being this. And that leaves it to you. Can you see you being this, or do you think you're too tough, or are you not comfortable doing it? When you're thinking about it, that hey, I'm not comfortable doing this. It's like they say, well, you can do it, or we can find somebody else that's gonna do it.
So Justin, I know you being the busy man that you are, I know you got some wrestling shows, events for that matter, coming up. So why don't you go ahead and promote them? Let the people know where they can see you at a wrestling ring near you.
All right, well, tomorrow night, actually, I'm going to be in Delville, Alabama at the VFW post. And we're actually having a show with Steve Armstrong, the son of Bullet Bob Armstrong, on there. And my partner, Zane Stevens, and myself will be defending our AIWL SXW tag team titles, the Team Hot Stuff. Right now, I'm looking at August the 1st to the 4th. I'm actually going to head out to Charlotte, North Carolina to participate in the NWA FanFest Legend camp with Tom Pritchard. That's the goal I'm looking at for that weekend as well. But some of the big things I got coming up though, we're talking about September the 7th. It's going to be in Holton, Mississippi for War, and I got another good booking coming up September the 28th. It's for CWA, Coastal Wrestling Alliance. It's going to be down in the Milton, Pensacola region of Florida. The poster's supposed to be coming out soon with the final booking date. But, as far as that, that's pretty much a lot of the dates I got coming up. And if, anybody want to see any more dates with me in it, they can follow me on Facebook or Twitter. But, I'm more on Facebook. That's the easiest way to get a hold of me. I talk to as many fans as I can. I try to reply to all the messages. I post on Twitter when I get a chance to. And, I even have my YouTube channel where I usually post my matches up to date.
Wow, you already beat me into the next question as far as social network links is concerned. So everybody go check him out. Justin Overstreet is the username Facebook.com/Justin Overstreet, or actually Justin.Overstreet.334. That's the leads right into your page, and he'll keep you posted on all those upcoming shows that he's got going on. Um, what do you consider the highlight of your wrestling career thus far? It could be a championship you won. It could be a storyline, an angle you're a part of, anything particular. Or what do you consider the highlight of your wrestling career thus far?
I mean, as far as match wise, I'd have to go with being in the Fatal Four Way for the AIWF World Heavyweight Championship. Not many people from where I'm from and the Gulf Coast can say they've actually wrestled for a world title, and that to me that was one of the good highlights. And then having the former WCW star Glacier actually take me under his wing and pretty much become my mentor and my business advisor, on a mental level, that's a big highlight for me. If I walk away from the business, I know I still have a good friend and a mentor, more than just a wrestling business with Glacier.
Absolutely, man. And let me ask you this: what are some other goals you would like to accomplish? Like more traveling, going international, maybe go to the big league someday. What are some other goals you'd like to accomplish?
Well, short-term goal right now, I wanna accomplish the goal of actually winning the AIWF World Heavyweight Championship and defend it on the road as much as I can, much as possible. I've already hit up 12 different states, and in the last year alone, and I'm looking to add more states to it, man. I want to get 15, possibly 20, and defending a world heavyweight title there would be great. And then I'm looking to also go to the United Kingdom, hopefully this winter, if things turn out right. I've always wanted to go to United Kingdom because the British style wrestling, along with the Southern style wrestling, has always been my top two favorites. So I'm sure going over to the UK would be a good learning experience for me.
Now, this next question, I'm gonna need for you to think real hard on this. If you can have a dream match with any wrestler, it could be pros, indie scene, dead or alive. You can have a dream match against any opponent. Who would your dream match be, and who would your dream opponent be?
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, it's an easy one for me as well. Even though Sting is my ultimate hero, in wrestling, I figured, Bret the Hitman Hart in his prime would have been the number one match I would want to have. He could tell a story as a heel or a babyface, and he kind of changed the books of what being a babyface and what being a heel was as well. And any match that Bret Hart was in, was going to be a 5-star match. I mean, he made superstars out of people. So I think Bret Hart would definitely be the answer there.
I mean, Bret the Hitman Hart, without a doubt. I mean, I just feel like to this day, I feel like he's getting a lot of respect. I guess people don't have him ranked so high. It's maybe because he may not have give you a catchphrase here and there, but his wrestling speaks for itself. And that family, I mean, the Hard Dungeon and how he had to survive there, and he made a name for himself. He was like the Wayne Gretzky of wrestling, as far as I'm concerned. He put that country on the map. As far as, I mean, obviously there was Pat Patterson's and others before him, but in the '90s, that was Bret Hart, and he and Shawn Michaels, what a rivalry they had. I feel
Oh,
like,
definitely, man. I mean, the thing about Bret the Hitman Hart was the business was changing, and he didn't exactly have the charisma that the Attitude Era was looking for. And Steve Austin pretty much stole that fire from Bret Hart. He made a superstar out of Stone Cold, But Stone Cold, when he took that ball, man, he ran with it. And, it pretty much ruined Bret Hart.
Yeah, that was just. I mean, just those last year or two he had. I mean, a lot of people kind of knew that he was on his way out, and it's just been one of those things that people still talk about to this very day. How that whole Montreal screw job and how they both, including Sean, couldn't handle, the outcome and everything. I just felt Brett, he's in a class by himself. I just feel like he people know who he is, but I feel like people just don't give him a lot of props. But
Well, I mean, you gotta look at it this way, man. He wasn't the super buff guy. He wasn't the tall guy. He was the smallest Shawn Michaels, but Shawn Michaels is known for being the smallest big man until Rey Mysterio came along. But the thing is, Bret Hart didn't have anything that stood out as far as body and look wise. But like you said, his wrestling spoke for itself. I mean, it didn't matter how big or small you was. Bret the Hitman Hart would tear you down either way, and like I said, his wrestling spoke for itself.
absolutely, man, and small guys has started a trend for wrestling for quite some time with the likes of a CM Punk, of a Daniel Bryan, of a Austin Aries, of a Davey Richards. I mean, you're talking about not necessarily the biggest, tallest guys, but when you book them in matches, you're not going to be disappointed, and you're being their size and everything. How does that make you feel to see these big companies giving these guys of their size the matches and the opportunities that they have?
Well, see, the thing with me, dude, I'm 50-50 with it because, one, I believe in a puncher's chance. I think anybody has at any given day to knock anybody out, no matter the size. But then again, I was also, brought into the business with the old school mentality and psychology. And, there's no way I could see a Daniel Bryan or a CM Punk or an Austin Aries, in a real fight, going toe to toe with someone like Brock Lesnar, this aggressive beast. And I think it takes. That's the thing about wrestling is like when they started taking that whole turn to where the little guy can be the heavyweight champion, and they start putting the little guy as a more Superman role over the big guy. You took away a lot of realism to it because you can tell when a big guy is having to slow himself down for the smaller guy because of the big size difference. And when you take away the realism of wrestling, you start taking away why fans believed it in the first place.
I definitely understand where you're coming from. I mean, I guess it's just a matter of it making it believable for the little guy can hang with the big guys. I mean, Punk versus Lesnar at SummerSlam. I mean, I don't know. I don't know about that match particular, but I guess it's just a wait and see mode. Um, so Justin, if you can give anyone advice, anyone that wants to pursue their career as a wrestler, what would your advice be?
You got to have patience. Patience is the number one thing because you're not going to get the body overnight unless you walk into this business with the body. You're not going to get the look overnight unless you walk in, you get brought in by somebody who's already up there. You're not going to know the perfect psychology of a wrestling match overnight. It takes time. I'm 4 years in. I'm still considered young. I'm still considered green to most people. That. But I've been fortunate enough to sit under a lot of good veterans that made it to the show, and they've put their knowledge and given it to me, and I think that's what's helped me out a lot. And also on advice is whenever you're in a locker room, if you're young, and I know it's fun to play, man, but sometimes you just gotta be quiet, and you can pick out the real veteran in the locker room if you just be quiet and listen. You'll know who's a legit veteran and who's someone who just stayed in the business for 20 years and did nothing with themselves. Find the real veteran. Find somebody who knows what they're talking about. Offer to carry their bags. Offer to show respect, and in return, just learn from them. Listen to them and be a sponge. because you never stop learning. But the more you soak up at the early stages of the business, the better you'll be off.
Absolutely, man. And I guess, look, like you said, talk to the veterans, talk to someone that's been around for a while, listen to them. Feel free to ask questions so you know what you're getting yourself into. I mean, wrestling is not for everybody. You
It is
got
not.
you gotta be physically tough and you gotta be mentally tough. And you have shown it. Mackenzie has shown it. A lot of people on the indie scene has shown it. And Justin, I want to thank you for joining me, fresh off of work. I know you're just eager to get this weekend going, so I'm just gonna go ahead and let you go. But thank you so much for joining me, being on Triple Threat Wrestling Radio. And all I'm gonna say is best of success goes out to you, man, and Mackenzie. Thank you again for being on the show.
All right, man. Like I said, I really appreciate it. I always enjoy somebody taking their time to speak to me. And, anytime you need us back, just let me know.
Thank you, sir, and you have a good night.
All right, you too, sir.
All right, bye bye. That was Justin Overstreet joining me, and that's how the show's gonna end. We'll be back to an hour plus show. Um, Again, we're trying to get caught up with Mackenzie York in the future. That's it, man. I'm done. Kenny C is out. I'm out of the building. Don't forget, Chilling with Jeff and Kenny C is tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Justin's got a long weekend ahead, and so do I. Let's see, I got work Saturday and Sunday, and yeah, I still got that whole job hunting for a full time job, an apartment, things of that nature. So I'm gonna get on out of here. You all have a good night. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next Friday night with Miss Dyslexia. Again, I'm Kenny C. I'm your host, and I'm out.